Okay, so when you think about a soundtrack for, I don't know, colonizing Mars, what do you actually hear?
Right.
I'm guessing it's like these big swelling orchestras, heavy brass when the spaceship door
The
opens.
whole man conquers the stars thing.
Exactly. Or, the opposite, the horror movie version with screeching violins because there's something slimy waiting outside.
We always expect spectacle. It's either conquest or terror. High drama.
But what if the real soundtrack for surviving in space wasn't about glory or terror? What if it was just about dryness?
It's a jarring thought, isn't it? But I mean, if you think about actually living on Mars, the day-to-day drama isn't going to be laser battles.
No.
It's water filtration, it's dust, it's counting calories.
And that is exactly where we're going today. We're doing a deep dive into a really unusual piece of source material. It's a discussion between a composer, David Peterson, and an analytical model about a suite he wrote.
And the piece is called The Four Red Seasons, A Year Without Rain. And we should be clear, this isn't just like ambient background music. He calls it hard SF music.
Hard SF music. I have to admit, that's the phrase that made me stop scrolling.
Mm.
I get hard sci-fi in books, Arthur C. Clarke, Andy Weir.
Where the math has to check out.
Right, the physics for real. But hard sci-fi music, how does that work?
Well, it implies the music isn't just expressing a feeling, it's simulating a reality. It doesn't hand-wave the constraints. It's bound by the rules of its world.
So the mission for this deep dive is to figure out how this piece uses orchestral structure
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of dark humor, actually,
A lot of it.
to propose a whole philosophy for surviving on Mars.
A philosophy that, and this is the key, completely rejects terraforming.
Ah, okay, so no making Mars into a new Earth.
None. The argument is if you try to make Mars look like Earth, you'll die. The only way is radical adaptation. You don't change the planet.
The planet changes you.
Precisely.
So let's set the scene for you. This suite is actually part 3 of a trilogy. And the trilogy's title is just amazing. Music to Colonize a Planet By.
But we're focusing on this last part, the Four Red Seasons.
Right. And the subtitle itself is the first clue, isn't it? A Year Without Rain.
Which is, well, every year on ours.
Yeah, exactly.
But phrasing it that way frames it as alien aridity. It immediately strips away the comfort of Earth's water cycle. It tells you, you're not home anymore.
And speaking of Earth cycles, this is where the wit comes in. On Earth, we have all these 4 seasons: spring, summer, autumn, winter.
A cycle of birth, growth, harvest, sleep, rebirth.
But Mars doesn't do rebirth. So Peterson names his 4 movements.
Oh, you should tell him.
It's brutally, brutally simple. The 4 movements are dry,
Okay.
drier,
Yeah.
even drier,
Oh, no.
and finally, driest.
I genuinely laughed out loud when I read that. It's like the worst weather forecast ever. Welcome to Mars. Hope you brought chapstick.
It is funny, but the sources point out it's a specific kind of humor. It's gallows humor.
Like the kind of jokes soldiers or ER doctors make. Exactly that. It's a coping mechanism. The source material says it's tongue firmly in cheek, but it's also acknowledging this incredibly harsh reality. If you can't laugh about it, you're going to crack.
So it's not making fun of the situation.
No, and that's a crucial distinction. The analysis says the music inhabits the dryness. It doesn't try to scare you with apocalyptic outbursts.
No big scary chords telling you Mars is evil.
Because Mars isn't evil. Mars is just indifferent. The music moves forward by what the analysis calls withholding relief.
Withholding relief. That's such a stressful idea for music. Usually you build tension, then you resolve it. You get the crescendo, the big finale.
But Mars doesn't resolve. And that's where this key concept comes in, ecological realism. The music treats the environment as a fixed variable. This isn't a planet that's going to love you back if you just try hard enough.
Okay, so let's actually walk through this Year Without Rain because the source material gave us the tempos, the beats per minute.
UBPM.
Yeah. And I expected a straight line. Start fast, run out of energy, end slow.
The cliche. A slow fade to black.
But the numbers tell this completely different psychological story. So, movement 1, dry. The tempo is 120 BPM.
Which is pretty brisk. That's a standard march. A lot of pop songs are around there. It's an active pace.
The notes call it the fastest opening. It represents initial optimism.
It's the honeymoon phase of colonization, The analysis says it feels like a remembered Earth season.
What does that mean?
It means the air is dry, but your mind is still thinking in terms of wetness. You're busy, you're setting up the hab, you still have that earth rhythm in your blood.
You feel capable of rain even if it's not there.
You haven't fully processed yet that the water isn't coming back. You're running on momentum from home.
Okay, then we get to movement 2, drier, and the floor just drops out. We go from 120 down to 90 BPM.
That is a huge shift. 90 BPM is a trudge.
The fun is over.
Reality sets in. You realize you can't keep burning calories at that 120 rate. You have to conserve. And the music becomes procedural.
That's the word the source used, procedural. It's being maintained rather than expressed.
Which is a perfect description of life support. It's the daily grind. Checking filters, monitoring algae tanks, recycling urine. It's not heroic, it's just necessary.
So we're trudging along at 90, resources are getting tight, then we hit movement 3, even drier. And logically, I thought, okay, we're going down to 60 BPM, we're tired, we're thirsty.
That's what physics would suggest. Run out of fuel, you slow down.
But the psychology does the opposite. The tempo rockets up to 150 BPM.
Whoa!
That's the fastest speed in the whole suite.
And that was the moment in the analysis that just stopped me. Why speed up when you have the least energy?
Panic. It has to be panic.
Frantic activity. Manic energy born of desperation. Think about a student who hasn't studied for an exam. They don't slow down, they flip pages frantically.
Or a startup running out of money. They don't conserve, they pivot and sprint. It's unsustainable.
Totally unsustainable. And the source says this is where the joke of the titles becomes painful. The absence of rain is now cultural.
Cultural. What does that mean?
It means there's no nostalgia left. In the first movement, you remembered Earth. At 150 BPM, you don't have time to remember anything. You are just reacting to red alarms. It's pure crisis mode.
But you can't sprint a marathon forever. You'll burn out.
Which brings us to the end. Movement 4, driest.
And the tempo settles at 110 BPM.
Now, that number is really important. It's not 90, the slow trudge, and it's not 150, the panic. It's moderate. It's sustainable.
The description is exhausted determination or acceptance.
Acceptance, that's the word. The season ends, but the colony doesn't collapse. There's no funeral march, but there's no victory parade either. It just ends with steady persistence.
Acceptance without consolation. That's a heavy phrase.
It means you've accepted the situation, but the situation hasn't given you a cookie for doing it. You've looked Mars in the face and said, okay, you're not going to kill us today, but you're never going to be nice to us.
And the music just continues.
It settles. The goal of the piece isn't to reach a climax. The goal is to reach a state of duration, to teach you how to endure.
And to really get why that matters, I think we have to zoom out to the whole trilogy.
Right. Where this piece fits in changes the whole story. It's not a historical timeline, it's a mindset timeline. It tracks the human spirit evolving away from Earth.
So part 1 is the Terran biospheres.
And that represents the past. The music is all about remembered richness, biological complexity. It's like a field recording of a rainforest. It's loud, complex, full of life.
But the source makes this brutal point. It says the music is no longer actionable.
Right. You can listen to it, love it, cry over it, but you can't live in it anymore. It's a memory. Trying to live in the past on Mars is just haunting a museum.
Then part 2, the 5 secular reverences. This is the present.
I love that title, Secular Reverences. It's about cultural, spiritual evolution. If part 1 was biology, this is sociology, how we treat each other.
It mentions kindness, ritual, restraint.
It's basically the instruction manual for not killing your crewmates in a tiny metal box. The social technology you need for right now.
And that brings us to our piece, part 3, the 4 red seasons, the future.
Or, as the source says, the long road ahead. This is the environmental reality. This is what the planet will actually give you.
Which is where most sci-fi stories get it wrong, right? Usually the arc is, we land, it's hard, we struggle, but we eventually conquer the planet.
Yeah, the standard terraforming myth. Scarcity to abundance.
But this trilogy completely flips it. The arc is, past is richness, present is care, and the future is constraint.
Constraint and duration. And the Kim insight is that the future isn't about transformation, it's about continuance.
That sounds kind of bleak, actually.
Does it? I mean, it's only bleak if your definition of success is turning Mars into Earth.
Okay.
If your definition of success is surviving on Mars as Mars, then it's incredibly pragmatic, hopeful even. Terraforming might be a fantasy, but survival is an engineering problem.
Let's unpack that, because this gets into a big philosophical debate in the source material. Adaptation versus dominion.
This is the core of the hard SF argument. Dominion is what we see in the movies. Total Recall, melt the ice caps, build a shopping mall.
The blue sky ending.
Exactly, the fantasy of Earth 2.0. But this music is explicitly anti-terraforming and anti-teleological.
Okay, anti-teleological. Let's break down that $10 word.
Teleology is the idea that history is moving towards a specific destined endpoint, a mission accomplished moment.
So being anti-teleological means there's no finish line.
Correct. The work is never done. The colonists aren't conquerors who fix the planet and retire. They are just people learning to be Martian.
And the source puts it so bluntly, Mars is indifferent and non-negotiable.
And that's the reality. If you try to dominate the planet, it will break you.
The source has this very specific, very haunting term for what happens if you refuse to accept that. It calls it the New Roanoke Warning.
New Roanoke. Yeah, that sent a chill down my spine. It refers to the lost colony on Earth, the settlement that just vanished.
Left a word carved in a tree and disappeared.
Right. So in this context, New Roanoke is the failure of a colony that runs on illusion, on the promise that if we just hold on, the supply ship will come. If we hold on, the terraforming will kick in.
A culture of waiting.
Exactly. And when the terraforming takes 1,000 years, the society collapses because it was built on waiting for a future that doesn't exist, instead of living on the red dirt under their feet.
So to avoid becoming New Roanoke, you have to change your definition of a hero. It's not the guy planting the flag.
No. In this philosophy, heroism is invisible. It's maintenance, calibration. It's, and I love this quote from the source, systems that quietly do not fail.
Systems that quietly do not fail. The heroism of the plumber, not the conqueror.
It is. It's the person who checks the airlock seals every single day for 20 years and never misses one.
So the source actually lays out a survival spec. It lists 3 virtues the colonists need. And they aren't technical skills.
No, they're all psychological shifts.
Okay, virtue number 1, perceptual humility.
This one goes right to the heart of the Dominion mindset. It means seeing the planet as it is, not as your model says it should be.
So not just looking at the chart that says water should be here.
Right. It's looking at the dry rock and saying, the chart is wrong. The rock is dry. It's listening harder than you speak. On Mars, if you don't listen, you die.
Virtue number 2, unsentimental kindness.
This is a tough one. We think of kindness as this warm, fuzzy feeling.
But the source calls it social technology.
Yeah. It has to be boring, repeatable, and unconditional.
Why unsentimental?
Because sentiment burns energy you don't have. You can't just be kind when you feel good. You have to be kind when you're exhausted, dehydrated, and you can't stand the person sitting next to you.
Because if you're not, the whole social system fails.
Exactly. It can't be for show. It has to be structural. Kindness as infrastructure.
That's a powerful idea. And finally, virtue number 3, a non-teleological agenda.
Which brings us back to what we were saying. You have to refuse to mortgage the present for a future that might never show up.
Being content to continue rather than culminate.
It's finding meaning in the act of survival itself. If you're only doing the dishes because you think one day a robot will do them, you're going to be miserable. You have to find a way to be okay with just doing the dishes.
And this all comes back to the rain.
Yeah.
Or the lack of it.
Yeah. The source argues it is absolutely crucial that the rain never comes in the music.
I kept waiting for it. I think as a listener, you're trained to expect the storm, the release.
And if the suite ended with a storm or even a little drizzle, it would ruin the entire philosophy.
Because the rain would be a reward.
It would imply a turning point. It would imply that the suffering earned them something. It restores the narrative of, if we suffer enough, we get a prize.
But Mars doesn't give prizes.
No. Mars is physics, and physics doesn't care if you've been good.
So the absence of rain forces you to just stop waiting.
It forces you to abandon that narrative thinking. The music, the source says, teaches you how to keep time when rain is irrelevant.
How to keep time when rain is irrelevant.
Yeah.
Wow, that's profound.
The ultimate lesson of the suite. You stop waiting for the external world to change, and you start changing your internal clock to match reality. You find a rhythm that works for driest.
It's amazing. We started this whole deep dive laughing at the joke of the titles.
And it is a joke. That's the brilliance. It starts with a laugh to get your guard down.
But it opens up this door to a really serious idea about what it means to survive.
That's the power of this kind of speculative art, right? It lets us rehearse these feelings. It lets us practice feeling driest before we actually have to live it.
So let's wrap this up. What's the big takeaway? If not planning a trip to Mars, and frankly, after looking at this, I think I'll pass, what does this matter?
I think the music suggests the ultimate colonist virtue isn't about conquering. It's about, and this is a beautiful line from the source, learning which illusions to release and in what order.
Releasing the illusion of Earth, releasing the illusion of rescue, releasing the illusion of rain.
And then finding what's solid underneath all of that.
You know, it strikes me this accidental philosophy isn't just about space travel.
How do you mean?
Well, we all have rain we're waiting for, don't we? I'll be happy when I get the promotion. I'll be happy when the economy gets better. We're always mortgaging today for a tomorrow that hasn't happened.
We live with a teleological agenda. We treat our own lives like a waiting room.
Exactly. And maybe we all need a little of that Martian mindset, the ability to find meaning in the practice, in the daily maintenance, rather than the final outcome. To accept that sometimes the future offers no reward beyond just the ability to keep going.
And maybe just keeping going is enough.
Systems that quietly do not fail. Maybe that's the goal for all of us right here on Earth.
I think that's a goal worth aiming for.
And on that note, we'll leave you to your own dry seasons. Thanks for listening to this deep dive. Stay hydrated out there.